years and still talking. This is GABNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the GABNet tour bus. Today our tour will take us up and around the newly designed GABNet.net webpage. For your safety, please stay seated while the bus is in motion and enjoy your trip. Also, remember that tipping your tour guide is greatly appreciated. Okay, we're off. The first place of interest that we're going to pass on the top left, you'll see a rotating billboard of all of the great GABNet programs. Legend has it that legendary broadcaster Alex Bennett created this billboard to attract early visitors to GABNet and to lure them into his site. To this day, it's one of the top attractions on our tour. Up next, look over at the top right and you'll see the most recent video of Alex Bennett's Ramble. And if you're lucky enough, we'll see Alex interacting with the citizen panel. Always a tour highlight. Did I mention that tipping your tour guide is greatly appreciated? As we approach the bottom of the Ramble video, we see quick links to all the ways that you can connect with GABNet programs. Facebook Live, YouTube, TuneIn, Livestream, Vimeo, and the GABNet Roku channel. They're all additional stops that you can make if you choose to step off the bus. But remember, please tip your tour guide if you do, and then you can hop on the next bus. Here's another highlight on our tour. On the left side, you'll see GABNet On Demand. You can quickly access any of the most recent programs there. Clearly, a value spot on our tour because downloads are at no extra cost. Please give your attention now to the right side. Look at the complete tutorial on how easy it is to become a citizen panelist. By the way, if you're a Luddite, there's a phone number that you can use to dial in. Okay, we're nearing the halfway point on our trip. I certainly hope that you're enjoying it. Oh look, there's the convenient call Skype button that you can click on, which will automatically connect you to the citizen panel. So now we're turning down the center of the page. I don't want you to miss any of these attractions, so please pay attention. Up first is a link to the 24/7 feed. Now these are going to come fast and furious, so pay attention. Next is a quick note on how you can hear GABNet on Amazon Echo. Next, quickly coming behind that, and this is always exciting, a screen that shows Alex Bennett's Ramble when it is live, with a countdown to the next show. It's always fun when we pass and the show is live. We're winding down our tour of GABNet.net, but before we reach our final stop, it's important to note that there is a place for you to contact them with your comments. Let them know how you like GABNet.net and the GABNet programming. And with that, we wrap up our tour. Remember, as you step off the bus, to please be careful. And also remember that GABNet is talk like you've never heard or seen it before. Did I mention, please tip your tour guide?
This is an Internet Network news break. IP Pingsley reporting. Our top story, the Great American Broadcast Network, otherwise known as GABNet, is now a TuneIn partner. TuneIn, the world's largest audio network, has joined forces with GABNet, the world's most innovative talk network. GABNet's partnership with TuneIn means that listeners now have three main ways to listen to GABNet programming: GABNet.net, TuneIn.com, and the convenient TuneIn app for smartphones. To participate in the network's innovative citizen panels on GABNet programs, use Skype and type the handle GABNet Live, or call on your phone 347-352-0079. For more information on this network, its programs, and its hosts, log on to GABNet.net. That's GABNet.net. This has been an Internet Network news break.
5 years and still talking. This is GABNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey! Yes, stay tuned, because in about 25 minutes from right now, we'll go to our new Improved Citizens panel. Yes, here on the Ramble that goes until midnight. But right now, let's check in, and as we always like to do, with an old friend of ours. Ladies and gentlemen, from out on the left of the it's the left coast of the United States of America. It's what's left of the United States of America, Larry Bubbles Brown.
I think it's the wet coast. It's rainy. Rain keeps coming. So.
The rain keeps coming. It's very sunny here in New York, which is we're finally seeing the grips of spring.
We had 2 sunny days last week. I was getting worried about my mold.
Yeah, you got to take care of the mold, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, they always talk about the mold, and I never see the mold. Do you ever see the mold?
Actually, get a little black stuff in the bathroom. Yeah, I got to blast that with Comet, but people act like it's deadly. I don't know if it is or not.
Yeah. So how you been, Larry Bubbles Brown?
Good. I just back. I was thinking about last time we talked. We talked about you mentioned that time you had to drink with your father at Tahoe. So I was up at Tahoe, and I thought about that.
Oh, really?
Visual.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
was at South Shore, not North Shore.
Right. The dreaded South Shore.
That California side is that's such a beautiful place, and the California side is just disgusting, just tacky motels and crap, and then the Nevada side is so much cleaner.
Yeah. Well, the Nevada side is you say cleaner?
Yeah, because there's like 4 big casinos and not a bunch of crappy, tacky stuff.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's tacky, the California side. I just think it. Excuse me, I'm trying to get some cough drops here. That's what all the noise is. Oh, no, the house is on fire. That was the first sound effect I ever learned.
You're the best sound effect man in the business.
Yeah, right.
That's very real.
I'm standing over to the side of the announcer saying, "Oh, the place is on fire." Anyway, that's the believe it or not, only sound effect I know. Period.
It was a good one.
Yeah, good one. Anyway, so where were we? Oh yeah, so in case people don't know, Lake Tahoe is the state line, goes right through Lake Tahoe, and on the Nevada side, you've got all the gambling commerce going, and all the big hotels because they can afford it due to the gambling, and on the other side, you have really what can be best described as resort communities. Mm-hmm. Because they don't have any gambling, and so it was always that the Nevada side was the most built up and neon-like and party time and all of that, and the other side was where families went to go rent a cabin, Yeah. So that was the history of it, and my father used to work at Cal Neva, which has literally a dance floor in the what they call it, the North Shore Room, I think it was called. And that was also where Sinatra played and so on. That was their showroom. And there is a line going right through that room that is the state line. And there's a line
goes through the swimming pool.
The swimming pool as well. They have a line drawn in the swimming pool, and you can swim from. Well, how did you do today? Did you exercise? I swam all the way from
2 states,
Nevada to California. Yeah. So that was the big deal. Okay.
Yeah.
And not a bad thing. And I grew up there. Kind of every summer, my father played Cal Neva, so they had on the Cal Neva property, they had cabins, and that's where they put up the musicians, in these cabins. We were like itinerant farm workers. But they were nice cabins, but they were rustic. They were, like you're in the woods type cabins. And So I grew up there, playing around and, going. And I always just remember there were always two sides, and there was always the attitude there. Let me explain to people. There's a North Shore and there's a South Shore. And the North Shore used to be the classy place to go. You had Cal Neva Lodge, and Sinatra owned that, and it was everything north was the place to be. And one side of the north in California, you had all these, as I say, resort communities, and in Nevada, all of a sudden you had all the gambling establishments. But no, it wasn't that much, okay? We would always look down on the South Shore. My father would say, "Let's go for a ride," and my mother would say, "Well, why don't we go down to the South Shore?" And he goes, "We don't want to go there." I think they only had like one casino down there, and I don't even know if it was Harrah's. I forget what it was called.
It was Harvey's.
I don't even know. I think Harvey's. Yeah.
Yeah, that came up that was the first big one there.
Here's how they made the South Shore into a bigger place. Harvey decided to spend money and buy a snowplow, and they literally plowed the road that came into Tahoe so that the cars could get into the South Shore. But they never did that to the North Shore. But what the North Shore had going for it, they had like Squaw Valley, which was a very big skiing area, home of the Olympics in
1960.
Was it 1960?
Mm-hmm.
So it had its own thing, and everybody looked down on the South Shore. But then all of a sudden, in comes Caesars, and in comes Harrah's, and in comes all of these, and all of a sudden the North Shore starts drying up. And I mean, you go to Cal Neva Lodge, I think it's still there. It's just like a dump, But
it's still there.
Yeah, but it used to be the classy place. So where did you play in Tahoe?
I did a little. Usually I do Harvey's, and somebody had a one-nighter at a place where these magicians work, and it's actually on the California side. It's called the Loft. The Loft at Tahoe. It was just one night, but it was fun. And I left the next day, and as right over I got over 50, I guess there was a landslide in 50. Part of it collapsed, so I just missed that. So it was good timing.
Yeah, it was always as I think I told you once before. The attitude about Tahoe at one point was, who the hell would want to come up here, because it was a long ride from San Francisco, and you did have to go through mountains, and you used to have to go over
very big mountains. Yes,
going to the North Shore, the Sierra Nevada, you had to go through the Donner Pass. Where years and years earlier, an entire party of people starved to death. Okay, it was that bad during the winter, and the Donner Pass was great because I remember taking a woman on a date, and I said, "Let's go up to Donner Pass," So we drove all the way from San Francisco, all the way up to Donner Pass, and how long does it take to get to Tahoe from San Francisco? About 4 hours.
4.5 hours.
4.5 hours. So we got to Donner Pass, and we got there at midnight, and we went out on the rocks at Donner Pass because there are these huge kind of boulder things. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And we would just lie there looking up at the stars. It was very romantic and very nice. And we didn't freeze to death because it wasn't winter. But that was Donner Pass. Then what they did is to make travel to Tahoe faster, they built a new highway that bypassed that old road. And that was a great road to drive because you had all the scenery and so on. Now it's a road that just, and had no flavor to it. And that's the only one you can really take now. I think the old road's still there somewhere, but they did all that to get more traffic into Tahoe. So between the snow plows and the widening of the roads and new highways going in there, it became quite a destination. And during the summer, I don't think you can even get a hotel room in there.
No. But it was, I still like it up there.
I was married there.
Really?
I got married there to Marjorie. We went to we were out on the West Coast. We were going to go see a movie. we went to the West Coast to see a movie, okay, because they were showing Napoleon, the Abel Gance film, with a full symphony orchestra conducted by Carl Davis, who does original silent scores and does beautiful work. And so Shecky was going to meet us out there, and that's why we went to California. And I figured, as long as we're in California, why don't I surprise her and let's get married? Because she had proposed, I think, on it was leap year, and on leap year, a woman can propose to the man, right? On leap day.
I'd never heard that.
Yeah. So she proposed to me, and I think my answer was a very romantic answer. She said, will you marry me? And I said, well, I can't see any reason not to. That was my answer. Alex
very
Bennett,
romantic.
Always the very romantic person, okay? So that was I just said to her when we were out there, I said, why don't we just go over to, I think we went to Macy's, or not, was it Macy's? No, we went to a ring store and a jewelry store, and maybe I went to Macy's and got mine. I took her to a jewelry store and got hers, a wedding ring. And we headed up to Tahoe for the day, and she called ahead, found some woman that was a one-stop marriage machine, and you would take this woman, you go up, and she had the ability to marry you, legally, and have you sign all the papers and all that. And then she could do the service, and she always did it out on the shore of Lake Tahoe. That's where we wanted to do it. It was freezing. And she married us, and then took pictures. That was part of the deal. There were pictures. So I think it was like for $600 or something. She did the whole number, and we went up there and got married. So, wow. And have been living miserably ever since. So it's no, just kidding. If you're listening, Marjorie, but huh?
Yeah, I stopped. It's great up there.
Yeah, no,
I had an old memory. I stopped by Harrah's because I remember this. I was up there long before I was in comedy in 1975, and they still have a postcard because I remember this. It was considered the most unusual booking in the history of Harrah's. Was Frank Sinatra and John Denver, which is odd, I think.
Very, very odd.
Yeah, that was when John Denver was getting huge, and I just remember there was a big talk about that when they booked that, and I looked, they still have the postcard in there at the Harrah's. So.
Wow. I didn't know that they played together. But
yeah, it was just 1 week.
What year was that? Do you know?
It was August of '75.
Well, that was when Sinatra's career was kind of, his singing was not as good as it was. I think,
you told me his voice had kind of
I'm trying to think. I think that was after he retired. I think it was maybe 2 years. He said he was getting out of the business. And one of the
typical showbiz retirement.
Well, one of the reasons he said he was getting out of the business was because his voice was going, and he didn't feel he was at the peak of his powers anymore, and he couldn't get to the notes he wanted to get to, and he just quit. And they held a big goodbye farewell concert. There's a recording of it. It was hosted, I think, by, was it Rosalind Russell, if I'm not mistaken? And he sang all his hits, and that was Goodbye, Frank, and then it was like, no more Frank Sinatra. And then about 2 years later, he decided he was going to come out of retirement because he figured out a way to bypass the notes he couldn't hit. Okay? And he came back, and it was Old Blue Eyes is back, but you could tell the difference. There was a difference. And then it just got worse from there. So about 75, he was on the edge of not being that great. And so I would see, and he was feeling it seems every time we start talking, I start talking about Frank Sinatra.
I know.
He did he felt the pain of pop music coming in. In those days, he could make the charts, because everything was contained in those charts, and then all of a sudden you had the Beatles and you had the Rolling Stones, and there was no way you were even going to get in the top 10. So he started becoming an anachronism. And so in order to try and keep up with the times, he was putting out albums where he'd do things like Light My Fire, one of the worst Sinatra records of all time.
Sounds bad.
Well, imagine Sinatra trying to do Light My Fire. All right? And at the very end, he's going, light my fire, light my fire, light my fire, light my fire, and fades out. It's just, if you ever get a chance to listen to it, folks. And then he did a pretty good version of Bad Bad Leroy Brown. But as I say, he was trying to keep up with what was happening rather than just say, hey, I'm good at one thing, let me do that. And the only time he ever kind of tried to pop it up was during the disco era. He did a version of All or Nothing at All, and I think on the other side, Night and Day, with a disco background, and it worked.
Wow.
Wait a minute, it worked. It worked because
Really?
Yeah, because he would they would do that that disco, what I can't even describe it, background, and then he just sang it straight. I mean, if you had taken his voice, separated it, and then put it with an orchestra, it still would have been the same. Okay, and it worked, but that was the only time in his whole trying to break into the pop era. And then he did the worst album ever, a whole album of songs written for him by Rod McEwen, who is, if people don't remember Rod McEwen, he was the worst poet ever in the history of America.
A horrible poet. I do remember.
Yeah. So he did an album, and that was horrible. And he couldn't come back from it, is what happened. Every now and then he would turn out some album. There was an album called Trilogy in which he did the past, the present, and the future. And it was okay, but you could still hear his voice was kind of shot. But all I'm saying is that 1975, it's not unusual that he would say, oh, John Denver's hip with the kids. I think I should double bill with him.
Yeah, that was probably it.
Now the question is, who went on last?
Yeah, I had to be Frank.
I would say it would have to be Frank, yeah. I don't think Frank would do anything else but go on last.
Well, he was 675. He would have been 60. So is a singer's voice usually gone that early?
No, but he was drinking and he was smoking and he was doing he wasn't taking care of the instrument. Once the instrument went back about 1948, I think, and he literally blew out his larynx for a small period of time. They said he was over, he was finished because of the thing that happened to his throat. But he overcame it, and when he came back, his voice was even better because it had a lower edge to it. And so he had been through that before, but all the smoking and drinking caught up with him. And when you're a singer, your only instrument is your voice, so you better fucking goddamn well take care of it, and he didn't. And I hate him for it because there's a concert in Milan that I have a recording of, because I have a lot of these recordings that were done but never released and things like that. And in Milan, this is like, I don't know, in the 80s, he tries to do Night and Day and starts off the beginning of it with such a clam. That's the term we use for not, going off key. Such a clam that you just can't even believe it's Sinatra, And I, whenever I have that on my iPhone, and whenever it comes on, I immediately go to the next track. I can't stand to listen to it because I love Sinatra so much. And there was that period of time between 1952 and 1965, maybe 70, that is like his prime era. He could do no wrong. He sang every song perfectly. And the only time he ever got serious in his life is when he got in the studio. And what am I doing talking about Frank Sinatra again? You know, I can't believe that all of a sudden I'm talking about Frank Sinatra again.
Well, I like this. And I told you, Mort Saul just worships Sinatra, and he must have been amazing.
No, he was absolutely amazing.
And he had a decent acting career.
Yeah. But the thing he liked doing the most was singing. I mean, when he got into his, you'd think of Frank Sinatra, the big player, right? Whenever he would get into a studio, it was an entirely different story, all right? It was like he was serious, he was working hard, he would do any number of takes it took to get the right take, and he was usually ready to go. Sometimes his voice was shot because he had been out drinking or smoking or even doing a gig, so he wouldn't come in and record. But when he was in a recording session, that was where he loved to be. And that's why his recordings, many of them, are just so damn good, And here I go. I'm talking about Sinatra again. I can't stop talking about. You say Mort Saul loves Sinatra, huh?
And he died next to Dana Carvey at Cedars.
Yeah, he was
the other story.
Well, no, Dana Carvey didn't die. Okay, Dana Carvey.
Dana lived. Frank died.
Dana had a bad thing where he almost died, but he was in the hospital room next to Frank Sinatra,
right?
And Frank died, so nobody cared that Dana was in the hospital.
Dana was getting his botched work repaired at Cedars, and then Frank was in there, and Dana just said one night there was a huge commotion, people running in the hall, and he found out that Frank had just died.
Wow. Yeah, well, but so Mort Saul's a big Sinatra fan. You should arrange for me to. You should arrange for me.
Saul told me that Sinatra. He said he actually didn't like to. He said he'd like to get the show over. He really liked hanging out with his friends. But.
Yeah. But you should get me together with Saul so I can talk to him about Sinatra.
No, that'd be I could do that.
See if he'd like to talk to me sometime.
Okay, definitely. Yeah.
Did I ever interview Mort Saul? No, I don't think so. I think
you were supposed to, and it fell through or something. But we better do it soon. He's 92.
Yeah, we'll go get him fast. Okay, all right.
I'll get him today.
And by the way, people around me are dying. And let me. I said this to Pearl yesterday, but I'll say it to you now because you may remember. Do you remember my lawyer, Fred Reamer?
Yeah.
He died.
Oh.
Last weekend. Heart attack in his apartment, alone. Didn't find him for 2 days. So.
Wow. How old was he?
I have no idea. I think maybe Reamer was pushing late 60s, somewhere around there. But, in a week and a half, I had two people who I was really infinitely associated with. A guy by the name of John Rockwell here in New York. He used to call our show a lot. And Fred Reamer. All die in about a week and a half. This is getting very depressing.
Yeah.
And then I have my friend Jack Garfein, the movie director and Broadway director, who's 88, who's been in the hospital for the last couple of weeks, although he looks like he's getting out. But, God, I'm seeing all these people around me die, and that's only because I've lived this long. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
Yeah. Yep. Well, hey, listen. Let me see here. I'm having my glasses on, so I can't see how much time we have left. Oh, we have at least a minute and 10 seconds left to keep talking.
I can give you another Sinatra story.
Yeah, quickly. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Up at Harrah's, I met the stage manager who did all the shows there, and this guy, he said Nancy Sinatra was playing there one night, and this was before wireless mics. So his job was he's behind the curtain, but he would take the slack, as she moved around the stage, he would take the slack out of the microphone cord. Okay?
Right.
So at one point during the middle of the show, somebody behind him stepped in the cord, and a microphone snapped out of her hand, and he didn't see who it was, so he just took his elbow and jammed it back and hit the guy in the knee. Then he turned around and it was Frank. And Frank just said, "Don't tell her it was me." So the guy said he almost had a heart attack.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, another time well spent with Larry Bubbles
Alex.
Brown. Hey, Larry, thanks, and we'll talk to you next
Thank
week.
You. I'll attend to my mold, and we'll try to stay alive.
5 years and still talking. This is GABNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
And there's Larry Bubbles Brown. I love the guy. Okay? I love him. I love him. I love him. I love him. Yeah, you can't love him more than I love him. Okay? Still got a little bit of a frog in my throat, but it's getting better. I was listening to myself doing that interview with Larry, and boy, that really was, my voice sounds terrific. Anyway, let me open up the Skype line here. There it is. It is now officially open, and I'm waiting for your calls. And as we do so, we will fill up the squares here on our playing board. Anyway, having coffee again tonight. I got to stop doing coffee because then I go to sleep, and I can't go to sleep, and then I take a Xanax to put me to sleep. And then I wake up, and all day long, I can't remember who the fuck I am. Another one of those days, by the way, the lines are open. Another one of those days in which I had to put up with all kinds of, as we call it in the Jewish religion, surahs, technically, from my supplier up in Canada, who supplies the stuff that I put all my, what we call our XML files up there. Those are the ones that show up on the on-demand thing. And there was no way I could get over there, but finally I did. So we're okay. Let me see here. Phil is calling us. Let me just get him into our. Are you there, Phil? Yeah.
Yes, I am.
He is there, and let me just find a space for you. I think we got room for you, Phil.
I would imagine.
Yeah, and there it is, right there, and you see, there he is, first person on tonight.
Now I'm going to be thinking of Jose Feliciano. Come on, baby, light my fire,
But he didn't do Light My Fire.
Sure he did.
He did a version of Light My Fire, but that was originally done by the Doors.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But I was thinking Jose Feliciano.
Yeah, Jose Feliciano. Oh,
yeah, he after his singing career stopped, he became a carpet inspector.
He became a carpet inspector?
Yeah, they only hire the blind.
That sounds like a euphemism for something. I don't know what.
Yeah,
but let me put Josh Wheeler in here. Okay, here we go with Josh. There, and Charlie Wallace is calling. So before I put the picture of the two of them up here, let me double click here and go. Wait a minute. Oh, hey, you got some audio, Charlie, happening. I don't want to have to mute you.
What's happening?
I don't want to have to mute you. There was some noise there, but now there isn't. Anyway, here we go. There's three people already. We had a full house last night, Phil. In case you don't know.
I saw 8. I was watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
And 8 is now the new Full House.
No, it was 9.
Oh, that's right. 8 plus you is 9, right?
Yeah.
So 9 is the new Full House.
Yeah, 9. It was. The Full House has
used to be 10.
No, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
I believe in that configuration, which was the 12 configuration, there were 4 on the top line, 4 on the bottom line, and then there is a 9th, and I am the 10th. So there were 10 people when we were a Full House last night.
The way you're doing a Full House. I thought the Full House was going to be 8 plus 1.
No,
right.
I went 9 plus 1. I went to the way it should be.
The way it was.
The way it should be.
Yes.
The way it was. Whatever. Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Anyway, How are you guys doing tonight? Phil, what did you do on your night off? Where were you?
I was at my photo club thing, and I took best of show.
Yeah, well, you see, but you're a bully.
No. This is against everybody. This is when it's best of show. Yes, I won. I'm now an intermediate, but at the end of the exhibition at the end of the judging, they judge all prints from masters down to basic, and only one person gets best of show, and I did.
And what picture won?
2 pictures. I got best of show on monaural, or not monaural. I mean black and white, and I got best of show in a color. So it was a shark picture. The guy pushing the tiger shark's mouth open, and that one in color. Well, no, in black and white. And then I had a MMA match shot, a championship shot where the guy gave up, and that was in color. And both of those, I got best of show.
Let me ask you a question. When you're shooting, how fast do you shoot? Do you just start, push the button and let it just keep going? You know?
I rarely shoot in rapid.
Or do you wait till you see a frame?
I wait till I see a frame.
Because if you do it in rapid, you're bound to get something good.
But it's too hard to edit. You know, my thing will do 11 frames a second.
Yeah.
So, all of a sudden, if you got 5,000 shots, how are you going to edit those? I mean, I would get so bored by the time I got to the 300.
I'm just saying, why don't you let somebody else win?
Well, this is fair and square. I was up against the Masters and all of these other guys, and some of these things were great.
And who votes on this?
We have a professional judge.
A professional judge, yeah.
That is a N4C trained judge. This is the 14 Northern California clubs.
Yeah.
And we pay them to come and judge the photos. And so we have 2 judgings a month.
Yeah.
And we have different judges each time.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, that's cool. Well, congratulations, Phil.
Well, thank you. It was my first best of show.
And what do you win? Do you get anything? You get money?
I get bragging rights.
Oh, God.
Actually, it'll be in a newspaper. The place where I go for this club has an actual newspaper that goes to the 10,000 residents that live in this complex. There's 2,000 homes, I think, maybe a little more. And it's a retirement community.
I see. I see. Okay, so you're down to retirement communities now.
Well, they have
a bunch of old people who can barely lift their cameras, let alone shoot with them.
Well, there's one guy that goes and hires guides to take him to different locations, and he'll go to Thailand and all sorts of other places. And that guy I beat last night. So,
see, you're a bully. See, look at you.
Yeah,
look at you. I beat him. I beat him.
Although it was my turn to supply the food, so I bought bagels, lox, cream cheese, really good coffee because they only have instant, and so.
Well, by the way, Jeff Stein last night. What happens with this new system is if somebody hangs up, they just freeze. So I don't know whether they're gone or not until I realize they haven't moved in the last 2 minutes, right? And he said he left because he couldn't figure out how to turn his microphone on or something, and that the new Skype and the new system is bothering him. And I wrote him and I said, you've been using the new Skype all along. Yeah. This is no different. All that's different is what I'm doing on my end to get the pictures on the show, which everybody, by the way, has been writing and complimenting me about. And
I think they're fabulous. The new look is great, and I'm glad that you finally overcame the fear of you had to.
Well, there wasn't overcoming the fear of Skype. I think Skype got over the fear of me. I think they did some changes. Because for the longest time, I couldn't figure out how to bring somebody into a citizen panel. And now it's really simple. In fact, any of you who want to call, it's just GABNet Live is the address. In fact, I should probably put it down here on the screen. GABNet Live is the address. And you just simply use your Skype and call GABNet Live.
When all you liberals call GABNet Live, who was the genius that invented that name?
What? Oh, GABNet Live. It was you.
Okay.
More bragging rights.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Anyway, GABNet.
I don't have a prostate.
Yeah, because before I had, what did I have? Great American Broadcast, I think. I had to type that in. But GABNet, and somebody had GABNet. That was the problem. Right. So GABNet Live became what we did. But anyway, unfortunately, Phil thought it up, folks. So I can't. You know what I also like about it is the new position that I've got this camera, it's really close to me. So I can do mugging into the camera, you know, smirk when you're talking, you know, things like that. So, so anyway, so Jeff, don't worry about it. Just call us, and if you're having problems, we'll tell you how to take care of it. But you shouldn't have any problem. You just call us, and I answer. And that goes for anybody. I mean, you can go over to GABNet.net, and there's a little button there, not a button, but a thing that says click here to, you know, automatically connect. And it will automatically connect you to the program. And I don't think there's any more of that thing where you've got to be on my friends list or anything like that. But that you just come right on. That's all. Just give us a call, and you know I'll bring you right in. So give it a try. Some of you. We want new blood, see, because we got old blood up there, right there. See? Let me point at him.
Skype.
There he is.
Oh, that's right. But I came on first, so I'm in the top corner.
Yeah, you're in the top corner. That's why you're doing it now. You want to be in that top corner.
Everybody wants to be in the top corner.
Yeah,
you get bragging rights when you're in the top corner.
But I could move you into another corner, though.
Yeah,
you know, if you're not good,
you try to do that every time we talk about Trump.
If you're not good, I could put you in like the bottom. You know, or even off on the edge of the screen or something like that, you know.
Yeah, but I had best of show.
I have a lot more control over this than I used to. I can even mute you.
Yeah, but I know the workaround.
Yeah, you simply unmute yourself.
Well, you don't want to give that up.
It's funny when somebody is muted, you can actually see they've muted themselves. It shows up on the screen. So there are a few things about this new Skype I like. I'll tell you why I don't know whether I like the new Skype or don't like the new Skype, because I don't really use the new Skype. The Skype is what's bringing all these pictures in, but once they're here, these are the way I've arranged them. Everything is all my own device, and this isn't the way it looks on a Skype screen, you know. So, anyway, how you doing tonight, Charlie? You know, last night, by the way, how you doing tonight, Charlie? And then I'll say what I had to say.
Good.
Yeah. Last night I was saying that it was amazing how many people like we had, you know, Phil with a missing a prostate, and you know, Jeff with his heart, his pacemaker thing, and Kevin with his you know, back doodad. And I was talking about everybody that had something wrong with them, and I forgot about you, the toeless chimp.
That's me.
Yeah. You lost some toes to
diabetes.
Diabetes. Yeah. Now,
if they were fingers, it would be like a mafia thing. You just say, hey, you know, the reason there's no pinky here.
Yeah, I didn't pay the debt. No, but let me ask you about that. So, what did they do to make sure you didn't lose any more toes? Is there some kind of medicine or something they give you, or why didn't they give it to you then?
Actually, they haven't done anything more. I mean, I'm on the same medication I was on when I was losing the toes.
Really?
So, I think I was doing something to injure my toes, and then they get infected.
Oh, I see. Okay, and because
now that I'm not umpiring on the field, I don't think I'm as likely to injure my feet and run into that problem anymore.
I see. So because of the diabetes, your feet were subject to infection a lot more easily. Yeah.
They don't get the blood flow, and you know, diabetics, we don't heal as well.
Oh, listen to him. It's like it's a club.
Terrible club.
It gets bigger every day. 40 million of us now.
Yeah. So anyway, Jeff,
and you wonder why they don't want single-payer health care.
Yeah, Jeff, if you're listening, give us a call, okay? And we also would like more callers because we have lots of room now. And so yesterday we got up to that one screen where I could go full house.
Yeah,
but I don't have the royal flush, and then there is something that happens if we hit 12.
Right, it's a surprise.
It's a surprise. What? Yeah.
That's what I'm waiting for is when we hit 12.
Everybody should start.
Is it the
calling.
one that I recommended?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah. I'm thinking of putting a sound effect in here for it too.
That would be good.
But you'll all get to see that if the day ever comes. I can't remember when we have hit 12.
Yeah.
But I can't remember
when. We hit
when.
13 once.
Huh?
We hit 13 once.
Did we hit 13? Really?
Yeah. One show or two shows. One show.
Well, good. But I wouldn't mind hitting. I wouldn't mind hitting 13, but I don't know what we'd do with them. Hopefully, one of those people would be on a phone, so we wouldn't have to put them up on the screen. But
well, if you have 12 small plus yourself, that's 13.
Well, that's 13. Yeah.
And that would fit on that screen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We have a 13 screen. This is the screen where there would be 12 people. If you see, if we put them in there, and there it says full house, but that's not. This wouldn't be a full house. This would be that other thing. But that's only because I've got this thing.
Surprise.
Huh?
The surprise.
The surprise. Yeah. So anyway, let me go back to this. Okay, so we don't. I had a lot of fun putting that shit together.
Yeah,
it really worked.
Now you said you couldn't do a GIF or a video.
No, I didn't want to do a video, and the reason I didn't want to do a video was that I don't. For instance, I can put a video in here of my GABNet logo and things like that, but it's just too busy, and I don't need it to be that busy. So I haven't done that. But I'm getting used to this, so if more people call, I can put you in here. But when Phil's on, nobody wants to call. Do you know last night we also had more people listening to us than we've had in a long, long time?
Hey, no problem. See you.
Yeah, okay. They all went, how are we doing tonight? Let me take a look.
I listened to the show. It was kind of like watching paint dry. So, yeah, okay.
What do you mean it was kind of like watching paint dry? What is that all about?
Well, you guys, how do you say boring?
Well, I think that the new way of presenting it here is getting us a lot more people because we have we have a lot more people now than we usually have. Yeah. So
no, it's the look of it is fantastic.
Yeah.
You would think that if you could copyright it, you could sell it to the news media because when they try to put people up, that would be a great look.
Well, no, but they have their own equipment. They have
very split screen.
Yeah, they put people across the screen, and every one of these shows has at least 3 pundits. And boy, am I getting bored with all of that. That's just getting terrible. I mean, I'm so sick of MSNBC. I can't tell you how sick I'm getting of it. I mean, it doesn't mean I like Fox, and it doesn't mean I'm going to watch Newsmax. But I mean, it's just. Am I right, Josh? Are they getting a little boring?
Yeah, I don't watch it in the evenings. I only watch it in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, I flip through in the evenings occasionally, but it's not really what I want to hear.
Well, I put it on during the day, and it's the same old crap, Whatever the belly aching of the day is, that's what they're belly aching about. And then
I think it's okay in the morning. It's not bad, in the morning time. But after that, like you say, it's a little boring. And at night, I don't care for it. I mean, the Rachel Maddow really gets on my nerves. I mean, it's just like this hour of condescension and lecture, and it's just like she's the only one in the world who's discovered, that Trump is an idiot, and she's here to tell you all about it and save you. And it's like, I don't like the guy any more than you do, but I'm fair, I mean, let's not turn everything into, I mean, that's what Fox did for a couple years. It's like, let's not do that,
Yeah.
It drives me nuts.
Yeah, well, but that's what's happening, And you're right. I mean, I can't even watch Rachel Maddow. She's so condescending. Right. And by the way, folks, we're very much liberal here. Some of us very much to the left. And we're saying this. And if we're saying this, MSNBC, get the message. You're losing your core audience because you're, the only people that would want to listen to MSNBC are people who would want their opinions validated.
And but there must be a fair amount, because it seems like I've read on multiple occasions the last few months that her viewership is as high as it's ever been, and it's been the #1 slot. Many times in the last few months. And who's she up against? Is she up against Sean Hannity?
I believe so. Yeah.
So I think that she's been beating him, on a regular.
Yeah, basis. I don't think.
But Josh, she was beating him on a fake deal.
I don't think she. I don't think she beats him all the time.
No,
okay.
Right.
But Alex.
By the way, there's Jeff Stein. Can you hear us, Jeff?
Yeah, I can hear you.
And we can hear you. I don't know.
It works.
What problem?
Don't mute yourself.
Yeah, I mean, just pay attention to your Skype, and if you do want to see somebody who's talking who's not in there, you can always take them and drag them down into the picture. Just don't. I say to everybody, don't touch anything else, because
don't touch me there.
Yeah.
I think the deal with Rachel Maddow and her previous high ratings were based on, she was teasing people with this what's going to happen to Trump, and people wanted to hear, oh, well, Trump, he's going to go to jail, he's going to this, he's going to that, and once the Mueller report comes out, it's going to validate, and she was pushing that scenario when it turned out that wasn't what happened.
Well, it could
her
be,
ratings went down.
Well, it could be that's what happened, but we don't know yet. I mean, it's come out.
Just keep hoping.
No, it's come out today that some of the people on the Mueller team were very upset with what Bill Barr did. No, not one person, a bunch of them.
Yeah,
it was listed as a bunch of them, and that they are bothered by Mueller's complete disregard to the work they did about the obstruction of justice part of it. The fact that they couldn't come to a decision, does not mean they did not have a lot of empirical evidence that maybe there was such a situation. And that's why everybody wants to see the full Mueller report so they can determine. It's like Nancy Pelosi said, hey, Bill Barr, we're not children.
They are.
You don't have to tell us what we're supposed to think.
They're not only children, they're untrustworthy children.
You always have to put a little barb in there, don't you?
No, it's the truth. You don't think that the Dems are going to leak the first thing that they can get a hold of? If they think that there's a way that they can screw Trump, they're going to immediately leak it. You can't trust those people.
They supposedly, most of the time, the Congress has been very good with this kind of stuff, because like in the Clinton case, they got a whole bunch. They got the whole thing unredacted, and they never. There were parts of it they said, let's not release this, let's not make this public, and they've kept it that way. It's remained in the vaults, and even with the redacted stuff. So, it's kind of. I don't think that they necessarily would do that. I think that they would like to see the stuff about obstruction of justice and what they think might have caused that, but we'll never know, because Bill Barr immediately said, "Hey, don't worry, children. You don't."
I believe that they also probably found obstruction on the Democrat side and collusion on the Democrat side.
Why?
Over
like what? Like what,
the
Phil?
FISA warrants, over the
what FISA warrants?
The FISA warrants that were created to three renewals and the original warrant, so that they could tap phones and so forth on Trump's camp.
But you know, they also tapped Hillary's as well.
Maybe.
Yes, and you know why they were doing that?
Because of the email investigation.
No, for their safety.
Well,
it was them. It was them watching out for the candidates.
Well, it was the FISA warrants that allowed them to start this Russian collusion investigation, and the warrants were based on the dossier, which turns out to be phony.
Boy, you've been
saying, and it was paid for by the DNC. Hillary Clinton.
It was started by Republicans.
It was paid for by the DNC.
But listen to Charlie. Charlie.
Yeah. Hey, just because something gets started doesn't necessarily mean, the Republicans did not want Trump to win. The Republicans would rather have had Hillary win because she is representative of their style, their desire to continue to feed at the trough, because they're all a bunch of crooks.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go again.
And Trump called these guys out. You had
brave
Trump,
Republican
after Republican that hated Trump.
You know something?
And the only reason,
you know something? This guy caves so much he should be spelunking through Washington. He's been caving like crazy. Caved again today.
Well, you mean on the shutting down the border thing?
Yeah. I'm going to shut down the border. That was his first thing. I'm going to shut it down. We're going to shut down the border. Well, I'm going to wait a year now before I shut down the border.
Well, no, he's negotiating. The first
what
thing you do,
he
goes in from a position of absolute destruction, and then he negotiates.
That's very presidential, Phil.
Well, hey, the presidential things didn't work. We got thousands of people a day on the border where they're being overrun.
Oh, I see. And are they running? I see them just crawling over the border, just rushing in here.
Hey,
and just
you're so
inundating.
worried about kids getting separated from their families and things like that.
Well, I don't think it's nice.
Well, if you don't want that to happen, then you don't let people just come in droves.
Yeah, what do you think, Jeff?
It's pretty lousy the way they're handling children.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
Yeah. It's horrible. It's not very nice. No.
Well, they're not separating the families now.
And now the kids were so young. The kids don't even know their last name yet. And you say, well, what's your parents' name? Mommy.
Yeah.
Daddy. Well,
I mean, what it is,
you can't exactly identify who your family really is.
It's playing into xenophobia, and
it's Jose or Hoseby.
Yeah, I mean, oh, jeez, Phil, God damn you, fucking asshole. By the way, we could here's what happens when I came up with this new idea of how to do this. Well, it's not a new idea. It was the way I had to do it, is that I now have 2 spaces there for 2 people. And is anybody going to fill it up? I hate to use the word fill it up. But anybody want to fill it up?
I told you what to do.
No, I'm not going to put you in both of them now. I can easily do that.
Did
folks.
that one?
Yeah, you remember, you go to the circus or something, you got a chair and you throw the beanbag at the thing, and the guy gets dunked into the into the tank.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing. If you can have a swoosh.
You see, this will make you nauseous, folks. If I do that, see.
Yeah.
So let's fill up the other squares. Give us a call, okay? All right.
The good news is Jeff Bezos is still, even after his divorce,
isn't that amazing?
Isn't
that amazing? He's giving his wife 35. Oh, I forgot to turn my little light on in the back.
35 million. How is she going to?
$35 million. And
how's she going to pay the bills?
Huh?
How's she going to pay the bills?
I don't know. I mean, God, it's going to be a hand to mouth for her.
Yeah, I know.
Let's see, $35 billion, and she went.
Is
okay.
it billion or million? Yeah, it's
billion. She went. Okay. You know, I mean, she wasn't fighting. I mean, she could have held out for half the money, which he has a total of. Are you ready for this? I mean, you want to talk about the richest man on the planet by a mile? $137 billion is how much he's worth. So he's still got $102 billion left,
and he's still the richest man on the planet.
On the planet, yeah, you know. But he was very happy to do that. I mean, his wife was, you know, she was part of the just the whole thing. You know, it wasn't like she was.
But did you see who he's dating?
She had nothing to do with this, though.
I know, but she was hot. Her brother did.
Well, I think his wife was attractive and probably pretty hot when he was younger. But now he's getting older. He's going through a midlife crisis, and he wants that expensive pussy.
Well, you know, have you looked at Jeff Bezos? Do you think if he didn't have 147 billion or whatever it is, that he would even get a date? You know, I mean,
well, there's something to be said for money.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Trump got laid. Look at him. Look what a fucking ogre he is.
Well, in his day.
The last time I saw somebody that looked like Donald Trump, they were standing under a bridge waiting for somebody to come by. You know.
Yeah, but he took advantage of women that didn't speak English.
Yeah, he did. He actually at least two of his wives were illegal aliens.
Well, the one from Georgia, she didn't speak English either, but she didn't have to. Marla Maples, that's it.
Marla Maples, yeah. Well, she was. I like Marla.
She was pretty.
She was good. Josh, what do you think about all this? I always defer to you because you're Mr. Legal Eagle.
As far as Trump, you mean?
Yeah. Well, it's always so far as Trump, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do think it's interesting that the story last night was, you know, the New York Times reporting that there were, like you said, multiple members of the, you know, Mueller investigative team that so far are not pleased that more of the report hasn't been put out because they feel like if the full report were to be released, the picture that the public would then see will be far different from the, total, you know, what was the
bar summation?
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of the word, you know, they kept using over and over again, you know, that, you know, Trump was just cleared, you know, I mean, he, you know, and he obviously, I think they feel like that if the public were to see the report, that's not going to be the conclusion that far more people will come to than have now. And, you know, the Congress should see the report and the public.
Yeah.
And I don't see any reason why, you know, they can't be trusted with the report. I mean, I would be comfortable if at least enough powerful Democrats, you know, members of the opposition saw the unredacted report, you know, such as the members of the Intelligence Committee, et cetera, oversight. If enough of them saw the report unredacted, I would at least feel comfortable because now members of the opposition, and they could go out to the cameras and say, okay, you know, there is some stuff in there the public can't know because it threatens national security, whatever, but here's what we found. And, I mean, they can be trusted with it. I mean, look, it was what, maybe 4 or 5 years ago that 60 Minutes did that report that the Congress, you know, in the vault that you mentioned earlier, and that's literally what it is, still has the completely unredacted copy of the 9/11 report that has like the 2 or 3 pages that are missing from the public report.
Right.
And it's pretty clear that those 2 or 3 pages basically say that the Saudi government funded part of the 9/11 attack operation, but no one can actually say that because it's classified. But there are members who are allowed to go into the vault, read the unredacted report. They can't take pictures. They can't take it out. They can't go out and tell anyone what they read. They can read it with their own eyes and then not talk about it. And if you read between the lines, that's basically what they're telling you is that Well, I can't tell you that the Saudis paid for it, but the Saudis paid for it. You know, so I mean, these kinds of informations can be left to the highest-ranking members of the government, but there's no reason why they can't.
Did they ever release the Warren Commission report on Kennedy?
Yes, they did.
Was it supposed to be 50 years? Or is it 100 years?
Well, maybe some of the classified.
I think the classified parts of it were to be limited to the lifetime of the Kennedy family. You know, I think since Caroline's still alive, they can't release that.
They've been trickling that stuff out, you know, in dribs and drabs, if you will. Every 5 or 6 years, they get, you know, we get 50 more pages or whatever, and then everyone who wrote a book can go back and update their book and release a new version, make some more money.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
No. Yeah. So I mean,
but I mean, there's no reason that stuff.
So Phil, what do you have to say? What do you have to say about that, Phil?
What, that some of it's I think that the politicians were a little more trustworthy maybe in those years, and that what we have right now is Trump derangement syndrome. And they will do anything, say anything. Look what they did. The Senate did on the Kavanaugh hearings. They marched out people.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Are you there,
like Avenatti?
Are you there? I guess what's his name was? Is there anybody else on there? Oh, there's Tony. Why isn't Tony showing up here? Tony. See, I know he's like Scuba something or not Scuba.
No, I'm
something.
Scuba something.
I know you're Scuba something. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me just let me see. Oh, 5, 6, 4, 5. No, it hasn't shown up here on this. There we go. Now I got more names. There we go. All of a sudden he showed up. Okay, so I can.
So you only have one space left on this thing now?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Well, but for all this talk of, you know, the trustworthiness of the lawmakers and the Trump derangement syndrome, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I understand where Phil's coming from, but it can't be lost on us that the last party to impeach a president for exactly the same exact things was the Republican Party. I mean, who impeached a sitting president for more or less the exact same charges that people are decrying Trump facing, you know, at this time.
Josh, didn't the laws change because of that? And that's why Barr can't release certain information that has to do with ongoing trials.
90. I mean, the full Clinton impeachment proceedings were open to the public, including grand jury material, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, nothing to my knowledge was hidden from the public in the Clinton proceedings. You know,
but because of that. And the salacious material that was released, I believe that the Congress didn't want this to happen again, and that they passed new laws that restrict Barr from putting out a lot of the information that's in this report. Just because it was done under Clinton investigation doesn't necessarily mean they can do it today if the laws change.
There is no law,
but you don't know that for sure, do you,
that
Phil?
has been changed to reflect that,
no, you don't.
that argument.
No, you don't know that for sure.
Whatsoever that I'm aware of. And I have heard dozens and dozens of people from both parties, as a matter of fact, that work for both parties, who have said, if this information wants to be put out by, you know, the leadership, it can be done. That simply a court order to release grand jury material, et cetera, can easily be had. I mean, it's not. There's no law to prevent this from happening. What's happening right now is political operation.
There's one other thing. Well, there's one other thing here, Phil. What people are griping about is that it was simply Barr's determination that, based upon what he saw, he didn't see that you could charge the president with anything. Well, he is the guy who also wrote in his what could we call it, his resume for the president, that he didn't believe a president could be charged with. Let me finish. With obstruction of justice, and he is simply making that determination based on his own personal beliefs, not on the evidence that was presented to him.
When he was confirmed, that was known that was his position. And also, Barr is the Attorney General, and it's his job to
so he doesn't have to. So he doesn't have to answer to anybody.
In this case,
he doesn't have to. You mean he just has? He's the chief lawmaker, and he can just go unquestioned.
It's up to him to decide to proceed further.
And somewhere along the line, because there are checks and balances, some people could question that determination. It is, it's not.
They can, but based on the
and let's face it, he's Trump's boy. He's Trump's boy.
They said
he's Trump's boy. Phil, answer me. Is he Trump's boy?
No, he's the Attorney General. He was appointed by Trump, but I don't think he's anybody's boy.
Phil,
and
that's a racist term.
Come on.
Well, but I mean, listen.
Nobody's.
I mean, a true Republican and really an American would believe that all power, does and always has and always will derive from the people. I mean, I don't know a Republican who would deny that. Look, if the people want to see this information bad enough, they have a right to. There's no law to prevent them from doing it. And all power of the government derives from the people. If they want to see it bad enough and they cry loud enough, we'll get to see it. And that's what's happening right now. I mean, it's still sorting itself out. I mean,
you know how they get to see it? They vote Trump out. They get a guy in that says, okay, here, you can see it. But right now, Trump's the president, and that's the deal.
If that's what happens, that's fine. My problem with
would you be saying, wait a minute,
and I got to be honest, at times you're one of them, is I want people to call things and say things fairly. And I've had a problem with things that have happened with members of my own party in the past, and I have said that. Because I'm not beholden to a political party or a philosophy. I'm beholden to, this union, not this party or that party. And if some of these actions were taking place and the individual in the White House was not named Donald Trump and was simply named Barack Obama, and those are the only two words of this entire situation that we changed, you would have a problem with it.
Yes, you
would,
Phil.
Many people in your party would have a problem with it, and that is the cold hard fact.
No, but you would have a problem if this same thing happened Obama was president. And you wouldn't be saying about Obama, well, he's the president happened. And what?
Nothing. There was no collusion. Nothing happened.
I'm not even talking about the underlying allegations.
You can keep
wait a minute, Charlie has his
within the last,
wait a minute,
Charlie has his
change his underwear one day.
Charlie
better prosecute him.
Charlie has his hand up.
Should change them. They're probably dirty.
Yeah.
If nothing happened, why did all these people lie and are now in jail or going to jail?
Charlie, you know how those lies are. The guy said, well, I wasn't there that day. And then it turns out that he was there that day or something. Or there was
if nothing happened at all, and there's a 400-page document that says over and over and over again nothing happened at all, then I don't understand why anybody would have a problem getting it out and laying it on the table and saying, there you go. Nothing happened.
Hold it. On the top of almost every page of that document, it says classified, and due to ongoing trials. And they can't.
How do you know, Phil? How do you? Wait a minute, Phil, shut up for a second. Shut up, Phil. Shut up for a second, Phil. How do you know it says that on the top of every page?
I listen to Fox.
I mean, and how do they know? They haven't seen it. Nobody's seen it. So how does anybody know? And what we want to know is what we should need to know.
Hannity knows.
That didn't seem to apply some months back when they released grand jury material, et cetera, in relation to a lot of the Clinton investigation and some of the classified investigations that were going on for members of the Mueller team, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I seem to remember about 6 months ago, the Republican Intelligence Committee releasing a huge dump of classified documents that they decided unilaterally to declassify. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's my problem with you sometimes, Phil.
I don't remember that.
We can look that up if you want, and I can read you the stories. I mean, that's my problem with you, Phil, is I sometimes have to question if you're not on here as kind of a put-on, which would be fine because a lot of people would find that entertaining and it drives conversation. But some of the stuff that you come up with is so far detached from reality and is so hypocritical and is so far in line with what I would call a sycophant that at times it makes me sick. I mean, just act like a fucking man sometimes and say,
okay,
that's right.
You want me to man up? All right, I'll man up for you. I listen to a number of different news media things, and I form an opinion.
Oh, yeah, I see.
And
but they're all news media that agrees with your opinion, right, Phil?
Well, and you don't listen to media that
I listen to Fox. I listen to MSNBC.
Like assholes. Everybody's got one.
No, but I listen to things other than places that validate my opinion.
Well, I listen to this guy's news, that guy's news, and I come up with a decision as to what I believe.
Anybody else want to get anybody else want to get a piece of this action? It's just GABNet Live, GABNet Live, GABNet Live through Skype. Really, I would love to hear other people's opinions on this.
Me too.
You know, but all I'm saying is, you're entitled to all that. You have to admit that I've been very fair with you over the years, and I've been very fair about what I think is happening. But I'm saying sometimes I think when you're having an issue with the facts, you do what you've been accused of before, which is make a joke or change the topic or whatever. And all I'm saying is, if you don't like something that Trump has done, or just call things the way you see it. A ball is a ball and a strike is a strike here. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I have a problem with this.
Okay, but the problem that you're having is, I like what Trump is doing. I like it.
That's okay. You're allowed to have that.
And so if you don't like the fact that I like it, I can't help that.
Well, I've never said that.
It has nothing to do with manning up.
You're entitled to that completely, and I have never said otherwise. But I'm saying that there are times when you have defended things that I know have to go against your conscience as a human being and as a Republican, and I've had trouble believing that you truly believe it, and I've had trouble believing that if the same exact circumstance were to happen for a president of a different party, that you would mouth those same words. Now, if you would, and you can honestly tell me that, then we just disagree and we can drop it. That's fine. I'm just saying, in my heart of hearts, I don't believe you. I don't trust that.
I'm sorry you don't believe me. I support Donald Trump. I support what he's doing. I like what he's doing. I don't like the way he's doing it in many cases, but he's up against news media like Vanity Fair. I mean, Vanity Fair should have been called Vanity Unfair. Or Huffington
Wait a minute,
Post.
Since when was Vanity Fair considered a major news organization?
Vanity Fair comes out with a ton of articles.
No, they hold a party at the Academy Awards every year. Come on, Phil.
The guy who owns Vanity Fair hates Trump.
Yeah.
And
so do we all. So what's unusual about that?
I don't.
Anybody who lives in New York hates Donald Trump.
You know, if you look at what Trump is doing, one side says, and it's very divisive out there, and I believe that the division, it was caused by social media and the Russians, the Chinese.
Yeah, the Chinese were in there, and
and the Koreans.
Bullshit.
And the Iranians.
Bullshit.
They were in there feeding misinformation, and they caused enough disruption that you've got.
Wait a minute, Phil. You mean the reason? Wait a minute. You mean the reason I'm pissed at Trump is because the Iranians are planting misinformation?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was because I do check out the Iranian media every day to see what my talking points are. I'm
sure you do.
Just like you read Mein Kampf to get your talking points.
Nah, I read the Israeli news though.
Yeah. By the way, Tony, can I say this? And I say this in all honesty. Your lens is dirty again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What do you do to that thing?
I don't know.
I don't know how that happens, but it happens.
Bug right in it.
I mean, all I'm trying to get at is that I think everyone here just wants to mark some of this down so that 3 or 4 or 5 years from now, you know, when the shoe was on the other foot, I want to hear the same things come out of your mouth that night that have come out of it in past nights. That's you know, I think that's all anyone is looking for is some accountability on that.
Well, by the way,
I feel like I can do that because there are people who were mad at me 2 or 3 years ago because I called up here and said things about Barack Obama that bothered them because, you know, he was their guy. And I've tried to say before, I don't have a guy, you know. I mean, I have this union and that's it. I mean, you know, what's good for that and good for me and good for you is fine. Now, sometimes people disagree on what's good, and that's perfectly normal. And matter of fact, I would say healthy. But I just think that this country is going to have to move away acting like politics is a fucking sporting event. You know, I got to root for this team because that's my team, and you know, I'm okay with them signing the guy who's a drunk or beats up women because that helps us win. I mean, if you want to do that with sports, that's perfectly fine. We're talking about grown people who get paid millions of dollars to play a fucking game.
By the way, let me just say,
politics, you know.
Let me say, we have been joined by the guy who did this. Anyway.
5 years and still talking. This is GABNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
There's Rob Alfano, ladies and gentlemen, who finally we changed it. You know.
The applause is not for me on that. The applause is for what I've been listening to Josh, and I haven't heard anybody put it so well as to what I have been feeling about this. It is just really hit on point, Josh. I got to say it. That's exactly what's going on, and that's exactly how I feel. It's taking sides with a man against this country, and that's the thing. If this were Barack Obama and all of this were happening, it wouldn't be okay.
And I should just really quickly say, in all fairness, so that this doesn't sound like it's too personal, because it's not personal with Phil. Okay, and I want him to know that because Phil is welcome here, and I like him, and I would consider him a friend. I'm just saying, 2 years from now or 3 years from now or whatever, when there's some sort of small thing going on with the next president who's a Democrat or whatever, I want Mitch McConnell to just say, "Hey, big nothing burger, fuck it." I mean, that's all I'm saying. You know.
Yeah.
I just want old turtleneck.
I went.
Josh,
I can tell you that there are some points that Barack Obama did that I didn't agree with. It was the Iranian deal, and a number of things like that. I didn't dislike Barack Obama. I appreciated him as a person. And as a leader, he did what he had to do when it came time to send in the SEAL team. And would I vote for him? No, I didn't vote for him. But I voted for someone that I believed was going to stand up for the things that I wanted.
Somebody has his hand up, and it happens to be Rob. Yes, Rob.
So the difference between Barack Obama and George Bush and pretty much any president in my lifetime is that this man is a known liar. He is a known cheat. He's told over 9,000 lies in less than 2 years. How can you believe a word that comes out of his mouth?
It's not what he says, it's what he does.
Well, what he does sucks, Phil.
I like what he does.
What do you like that he does, Phil?
I like that he put Jerusalem to be the capital of Israel. I like the fact that he pulled out of the nuclear deal with Iran. I like the fact that he shook up NATO and said, you're going to have to start paying your way. I like the fact that he shook up the UN. And I like the fact that he
How did he shake up the UN? How did he shake up the UN?
He shook up the UN by not just abstaining and when he had that gal from South Carolina in there, she let them have it on a number of issues.
Nikki Haley.
Yeah, Nikki Haley. And he's
you treated Nikki Haley there like she was the maid.
Protecting the borders.
You were treating Nikki Haley like she was the maid. That gal we had in the
I didn't remember
in the United
her name.
Nations. She comes in, she
You
empties the
can't
ashtrays.
remember a name unless it's written under the person's chin.
What?
Come on.
Do I
Give me
have
a
any?
break
Do I have any crib notes here? I said Nikki Haley off the top of my head.
Well,
Okay.
yeah. Well, you remember those things, but you don't remember the other stuff.
I had. Well, forget it. Anyway,
I remember she was from South Carolina.
Well, that was good. Yeah. Okay.
And
yes.
Trump is also
wait a minute.
doing.
Charlie has his hand. Charlie has
idea.
his hand up. There are other people that want to talk here, Phil.
All right. Well, I was the one that was called not a man.
Charlie. Yes. Yes, Charlie.
Phil, you also said that we hate Trump because of false information being fed to us by the Iranians and other countries.
And the Russians and the Chinese, yeah. I believe that you guys have been conned.
I guess it's not true then that the
Will you let wait a minute, Phil, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Charlie, kids from their parents and didn't keep track of which kids went to which parents. So now he has thousands of kids and their parents are who knows where the fuck they are, and they can't connect those kids back up.
Charlie,
that
by the way, Phil,
that never really happened because that was something false that the Russians or the Iranians told us.
Okay, Phil, will you be decent enough?
What about the terrorists that have practically destroyed farmers? You like that? Or is that another lie that the Iranians and the Russians told us? Those are things that I hate Trump for, doing shit like that.
Okay, I'm glad you think that.
Yeah, and Phil, when somebody starts talking, don't interrupt them. Let them say what they're going to say, but you jump right in, and it distracts them.
It's a conversation.
No, you can't. I'm sorry, I can't. On Skype, it isn't exactly a conversation because everybody gets muted from everybody else and things like that. So, and when you see somebody with their hand up, yield to them, okay? Because that's the rule. You never raise your hand for any reason.
Oh, wait a minute.
You're going to go get your glove? Yeah, you're gonna go get your masturbation glove.
Also, I guess it was a lie that he passed this huge tax cuts that the millionaires and billionaires are benefiting to the tune of hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars.
Hey,
and now he wants to cut Social Security and Medicare to pay for that.
Why?
That's another lie.
You know who? You know what millionaire?
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Wait a minute, Charlie. Why have you suddenly gone blurry?
I don't know.
Oh, there you just came back into focus again. I just think that we hate him. You know, what can I say? Hello, Kevin. How are you this evening? How are you this evening, Kevin? You've been hearing
his blood sugar.
Yeah. What's been going on?
Not much. Good old same old stuff.
Same old stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have you got your remote control on tonight?
Yep, I'm charging tonight.
You're charging tonight. How do you charge? By the hour, I know.
Gizmo thing here.
But
I'm sitting on it.
Oh, you sit on it and it charges the thing in your back.
And I got to put it around where the gizmo is.
Is this thing a lot of trouble, or is it pretty simple once you get used to it?
I do it every 2 days now.
Explain what you did. You put a device in your back, which
I do it, but I had it done.
You put a device in your back, which is supposed to help with the pain. Does it help with the pain?
It's starting to, yeah.
It is starting.
We're still messing with a lot of programs right now. I just changed it again tonight.
Yeah.
What kind of programs? Shiatsu and
Yeah, little different ones.
Yeah.
You can't feel them.
Yeah, no. But no, it's cool. Jeff, how are you doing? How are you doing tonight? You hearing okay, and you able to talk okay?
Everything's good right now.
Yeah. What? Anything you want to say about what we're talking about?
Oh God, I wish Trump would leave. That's all.
You know, last night I was saying that if Trump died, I would probably be a terrible human being.
Yeah, me too.
You know, because I'd be sitting here going, "Good." You know,
Save the
I mean,
nation.
Huh?
It would be a double whammy. We'd be celebrating, but then we'd be looking up there and watching Pence take the oath.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, we have to hope they both have heart attacks at the same time or
Together.
something. You know,
Exactly.
because guess who becomes president?
Yeah,
Nancy Pelosi.
Do they ever fly together? They never fly together, right?
I don't think they fly together. No. In fact, I don't think presidents usually, they're always in two different places. Yes, Tony?
Here's a question. This is not really about Phil or anything. Do you think that maybe, and I'm not singling out the last couple of presidents, as a whole, don't you think we've really been let down from the presidents for the last 20 years, looking back now?
Well, I don't think, did Obama let you down?
I mean,
wait a minute, Phil, I'm asking him.
He did put a mandate on health insurance that he was going to hit people with. That was kind of wrong.
Well, but
remember, you don't have health insurance, you got to pay a fine.
Well,
yes, I agree with that.
We would all agree with that, but I think a lot of that was he was trying to get what he could get in the way of of some kind of Affordable Care Act, in spite of the fact the Republicans wouldn't let him have much more than that because he had a Republican Congress to deal with. So it's really a cobbled together kind of idea. Oh, look, Al Jolson, ladies and gentlemen, wants to talk.
Michael Jackson.
Just like with the Obama mandate that you had to have the insurance, that is no different than saying that you've got to pay to vote.
What?
It should. We shouldn't. Yeah,
that is the worst. That is the worst comparison I've ever heard in my life.
You got to pay taxes.
Yeah.
You got to pay taxes.
Yeah.
But eventually you're going to die.
Yeah, but
unless you're rich.
Yeah.
Well, no, the rich pay taxes too. Who do you think pays the taxes? Yeah. It's not the guy making $20,000 a year. He's not paying the taxes. He's exempt from all of those things. It's the guy that's making 75, 80, 100, 150,000 a year that's paying the brunt of the taxes. And just
not
because
by
you don't
not by percentage, they are.
The percentage doesn't mean anything. You think that one man?
I gotta pay 20% of mine, but Bill Gates only pays 1/5 of a percent.
Yeah, but what is 1/5 of a percent of Bill Gates's money compared to 20% of your money?
He should still pay the same percentage.
20% also. Why shouldn't everybody pay 20%?
Then you should get a flat tax. I don't see anything wrong with a flat tax.
What do you mean? Every time you get a flat tire, you get taxed for it?
What?
Every time you get a flat tire, you get taxed for it?
Yeah, really. No, but a flat tax, if this is what you're saying, would be fair.
You know what I think they should do? I didn't to interrupt, Phil. I just want to finish one more point. I actually think, as an American citizen, they should lower the Social Security when you can start collecting full. Why don't they start working with the people?
Tony, you're absolutely right. I've been saying that for years, because what the problem is that we start giving people Social Security at 65. Now, in this day and age, you try and tell me somebody who's 60 who can find a job, or 55 and can get a job. All right.
And that's
you can get it at 62.
I know you can get it at 62, Phil, but people are not being hired at 55 now. Yes, Rob.
He's right about that.
That I understand why you want to give Social Security at age 60 or earlier, whenever that is. The problem is not that. The problem is I'm 62. I can't afford health care without working until I get to Medicare.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. But I mean, I would retire and give my job to a 30-something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you don't, you know what it is. If you don't have a job, if you're out of work, you should be able to collect Medicare.
Right.
Well, you can in a way. Isn't it called Medicaid? When if you're out of work, you don't have any income. I think. Huh?
I don't think that's good medical. I think that's
it's the same as Medicare, I think.
I don't know. No,
it's a little different.
Yeah.
Be real low.
Well, if you're on unemployment or something like that, I would imagine that's low income. If you don't, or if you don't have any income coming in because you can't work,
next to low.
Yeah.
By the way, somebody's got a little. Somebody, hold on a second. Somebody's got some kind of hiss coming from their feed. I don't know where it's coming from.
Kevin, would you just mute your microphone a second? Could be his charger.
Yeah, I just moved it away.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, because it sounded like there was some kind of static.
It was a charger, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Not now. It's back again.
It's back
Oh,
again.
no, I can hear it now, too.
Yeah.
I didn't move anything.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, we want you charged. We don't want you to go into pain. So,
Oh my God.
Go ahead. This is Alex Bennett's God's waiting room.
Yeah, it's far away now. It's not there.
And it's not making a noise.
Yeah, we don't really hear it that much. Yeah. Okay. I wondered what that was. I was thinking that, trouble with doing the citizen panel is trying to isolate who's got some kind of noise going on, And hey, good news. It wasn't Jeff,
Yeah. Hey, when it comes to Trump. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Jeff.
No, I was going to just change the discussion a little bit, just because there's an area that I've never really figured this out. I always remember that the Senate had certain responsibilities that were different than the Congress.
Yeah.
And
I'll tell you, hold on a second, Jeff. Hold on 1 second. Do me a favor, Kevin. Just mute yourself unless you want to talk, okay? Because I think there's some kind of interference coming in there.
It's not me because I was muted.
Oh, you weren't muted.
Now I'm not muted. It wasn't me.
Do you hear that hissing?
Yeah, it wasn't me.
Yeah, I don't know who it is. It just stopped. Who?
That's me.
Oh,
I don't know where that's coming from, but that's me.
Oh, okay. Well, just mute yourself unless you want to talk. Okay, that'd be the best way to handle it.
I think it might just be in Skype because I muted myself. I heard it stop, and then I was still muted, and it continued.
No, but it was Rob. He was right. We don't know what it was, but and Rob, whenever you want to say something, just turn your mic on.
Those earplugs.
Yeah, But anyway,
Jeff, can you repeat what you said?
So I was trying to understand for the fact that the Senate had additional responsibilities for dealing with other countries, and I assume that would include Russia, and particularly anything that had to do with a whole bunch of Russian people who were trying to screw up the country in our voting system.
Yeah.
Is that true, or has it changed? Maybe not effectively, but pragmatically.
Listen, we have a whole bunch of things we need to deal with in this country, and we're not dealing with them. And I doubt in my lifetime, which is probably short, they're never going to be taken care of. One is the Electoral College. That's one. One is health plans. Medicare for everybody. We can afford it if we didn't spend so goddamn much money on our military, which is really an expense that's out of hand. It's over 50% of our national cost. And other countries like England, they're only at something like 10% of the tax dollar of the Brits goes to their military, whereas ours, it's like 55% of your tax dollar goes to the military. Think of what we could do with that money when you talk about national health care. Free health care for all people. Why don't we want everybody to get free health care? Why don't we want everybody to be well? What's wrong with that notion? And now Phil will tell us what's wrong with that notion.
Well, there's nothing wrong with it if, people would be healthy in the first place, but the system would be overwhelmed. In countries where single-payer health care works, like Sweden and Finland, they have a pretty healthy lifestyle, even Japan.
Yeah.
In this country, Charlie said it, 40-something% of the people have diabetes. The majority of the people in this country are obese.
Phil, forget about that. What you're doing is you're making a case on how people can be well. When you're speaking about obese, you are.
But I pay for my own health care.
Yeah, but you won't. As soon as you can get Medicare, you're going to be taking Medicare faster than.
Not only did I pay
faster
for that,
than shit can come out of your ass.
I already upped. I went online and I signed up for the Medicare.
Oh, okay. So don't even begin with that.
Are you denying me my entitlements?
Huh? It's not an entitlement.
What
it's
I'm
not.
entitled
It's
to
not an.
based on what I
It's
pay
not
for?
an entitlement. It's called an earned benefit.
Oh well, I earned that benefit.
You know,
And
when we stop thinking about these things as entitlements and start thinking about them as earned benefits, maybe we'll be having a pretty good notion of what this is all about. Yes, Tony's got his hand up.
On his question of Finland, let's look up the population of Finland and the population of the United States. They can get back to me.
What does that? What does that?
The United States, 330 million.
What does that have to do with it, Tony?
Because
we also have more people paying taxes in the United States than pay taxes in Finland. So we're talking about the expense of medical care. You know, and the fact is that we overspend on the military to a point where it's just disgusting. And that money could go towards health care. It could go towards a lot of things. And it has nothing to do with socialism. It has to do with people being healthy and being, when people don't go to, here's Phil, here's why people get sick. And then we'll go to Rob. Here's why people get sick. It's because they don't go to the doctors to get their yearly checkups, and they don't go when something's wrong with them because they don't want to have to pay the cost because they can't afford it. They can't even afford the fucking copay. All right?
Just go walk
yes,
in the door.
Rob.
I'm gonna bring up another point here when it comes to health in this country, and a big part of the reason why there's so much obesity and there's so much unhealth is because our FDA is on the take. It's all about, other countries don't allow the kinds of additives and things that go into our food supply to be in their food supply. Why is it here that if you could lobby and add all these additives and put all this crap out there, people eat this shit?
Are you blaming Trump for this?
No, I'm blaming our government for this.
Yeah.
I'm blaming the fact that it's more important to have a lobby group that pours a lot of money into a campaign for guys to vote on stuff instead of doing what's right. That's a big reason why we're unhealthy in this country.
So that's the Congress.
Well, I mean, what's with a cunt like Nancy DeVos wanting to do away with the Special Olympics? I mean, come on.
She does?
Yeah, she did. But Trump finally, when the heat got too heavy, he said, "Well, we're not going to get rid of the Special Olympics because he participates in them."
It's the only one he can win.
Because that's for kids who have health problems and are also morons. Anyway,
when it comes to the Special Olympics, I have a different belief. I think Trump created that to become a hero. He created the problem, then he stepped in, and he.
You could be right. You could be right.
You don't want Trump to cut expenses?
Phil, you tell. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. You do realize that the national debt has gone up hugely since he became president.
Yeah, it went to 21 trillion from 19, I think.
Oh well, it's still. He said he was going to cut it.
Barely 2 years in.
Well, you think that the budgets that were in place are budgets that Trump came up with? That kicked in
the budget he is wound up between one thing and another, calling out the National Guard for the wall and this thing and that thing. He has upped it $2 trillion, and this is the guy who said he was going to bring down the national debt. So what about that one, Phil? What about that lie?
The national debt wasn't caused by sending in security to handle a threat.
The fact was he said he was going to cut down on government spending, and instead it's at an all-time high.
Yeah, so he's pulling out of Syria. He's pulling back.
He's not pulling out of Syria. He wasn't. That was another thing he said. I'm pulling out of Syria, and then he never pulled out of Syria.
Well, the additional money on the deficit is almost completely driven by the tax package that was passed last year. So yes, that is 100%, Trump and the Republican Party, and that tax package is expected to add over $10 trillion to the debt I believe in the span of either 15 or 20 years. I mean, it's the largest deficit expanding tax package in the history of the world, as far as I know. I mean,
Josh, you don't think that the increase in business and the increase that we're having in revenue, we're having one of the best markets and business environments. There's lowest unemployment. When you have low unemployment, you have people working. When they're working, they pay payroll taxes.
So why is the deficit still going up and not down?
Well, you have to seed sometimes the field before you can get the crop. And
okay.
I didn't.
Again,
that.
Well, why don't they just seed the field with all the crap that's coming out of his mouth?
Well, go ahead, Josh.
I'm okay with that as a policy position. I mean, I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I have no problem with that being a policy belief that you have. Again, to keep with my theme of the evening, all I'm saying is if we do this show 5 years from now and the deficit is $2 trillion higher than it was and there's a Democrat in office, please, I just want you to be like, well, that's no big deal. It's all cool.
I don't
that's
want
all
a
I'm
high
saying.
deficit.
Because I just believe that if that's the case, 2 or 3 years from now, the party that you claim yourself to be a member of, and probably yourself, their heads will just be exploding about the national debt.
I believe that the debt will go down based on balancing trade with China, as well as getting out of the NAFTA agreement. There's a number of things, and also as the economy increases, we get more tax. The debt goes down. But
our trade deficit is the biggest it's ever been in history, and that happened under Trump.
Well, because we've got more business. People are buying stuff. But the trend is to buy American now. The trend is,
it is.
People come into my store and they say, I want something made in the U.S.
Will you please tell me what they're buying?
Well, in my store, it's called flooring.
Yeah, is it all made here in this country?
A lot of it.
No, a lot of it. I said, well, if you're such a good American, why don't you sell only American flooring?
I try to.
Well, why don't you?
Well, now most of the stuff is coming from Vietnam and Korea,
I see.
Rather than rather than China.
Yeah,
but
no. But what I'm saying is, Phil, why don't you buy nothing but American flooring?
You can't.
Why? Why can't you? You say you say it's made here.
Well, certain products aren't made here, but many products are.
I see.
You drive American cars?
Yeah, well, no, not.
A Ford and a Chevy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a Toyota.
I've driven American
made in Japan
my whole life.
But when I was looking at cars,
you know something, Phil, I would say with you, I would walk the walk. Okay.
Well, I looked at cars a couple months ago before I got the new seats.
We don't want your excuse.
And I looked at a Volvo.
We don't want your excuse.
And the guy said it was made in China.
Yeah,
Volvo made in China.
Yeah.
So I said, no, I don't want that.
They know where they make good cars.
Yeah. There was something else that I wanted to bring up, and which is Venezuela. And it looks like the Russians are sending more troops to Venezuela. And I'm wondering how Trump is going to handle this. This is going to be, I believe, the first real test of Trump and his diplomatic policies. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I mean the great diplomat who's
sending our troops down to help him.
I'm not sure, but the Russian troops are arriving,
and they're going in on whose side?
We were sending ours down there,
and the Russians are going in on whose side? Maduro's?
I don't know that. I'm not sure there's a side. Is it Maduro?
Yeah, well, Maduro is the guy who's ostensibly supposed to be considered the president of the country, according to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good one.
So this is going to come to a head soon, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it's going to get handled.
I'm not looking forward to seeing how it's going to be handled at all, because I can't believe that Trump knows how to handle this kind of situation.
Is that one of the 5 Mexicos?
We'll see.
Kiss Putin's ass.
Of course, he's the great negotiator, because North Korea isn't building rockets anymore, or nuclear devices. So that was really good negotiating.
and Obama allowed the
not whataboutism, not whataboutism.
You use it all the time.
Obama isn't president anymore. Trump is. He's the one I have to worry about when he goes to fucking North Korea and says, "I believe this man. He's a good man."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let the other Mexicos take care of it.
Well, it's interesting to me that this is starting to formulate right now, and I'm looking I'm not looking forward to this happening, but I'm interested in how Trump is going to handle it.
You're interested in how he's going to handle it. Me too. Yeah, he'll handle it like some kind of clown show. Who knows?
Well, we'll see. This is a deciding moment. This is a moment where he can actually show what he's made out of.
Okay. He'll do whatever Putin wants him to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm your puppet.
Well, because we're at the end, I hope Phil knows that. I know I was particularly hard on him tonight, but it's not.
You weren't hard.
Okay, I just want to know it's not a personal. It's more. I mean, you're the only member of the Republican Party on the panel, so it sounds like I'm ragging all over you. But
gosh, I don't take it personal.
Okay, I just don't want it to be that way, because I guess I used the term earlier, be a man or whatever. That's a common term, I suppose. I just want to make clear, I'm not trying.
I think the term is man up.
I'm not trying to, because I'm trying to be fair and I'm trying to live what I know. The Democrats say.
I know that.
We should live. I don't want to run you down and that kind of thing.
If I didn't really like you guys, I wouldn't come here every night.
Well, hey, and I understand that. You do a hard thing. You come on and you talk to a group of people every night that completely disagree with you, and that is probably not easy to do.
Hey, Juan Williams does it. You
know?
Right.
Yeah, but he gets paid a lot more money than you do to do it.
How do you know?
You have a point.
I mean, but Juan Williams, yes, he's also hired. But got a few.
So Alex is giving you a GABNet bucks under the table. Then,
that's right.
Hey, when GABNet goes public, I'm going to be rich.
A few little items I had here, but I never have to really get to the items I've prepped for, because when I just say, "How are you guys?" that's all we need, and I just sit back and I shut up. The city of Chicago says it's going to sue Jussie Smollett, setting up the likelihood that he will be tried after all in civil court for allegations that he faked the infamous hate crime on January 29th, in which he said he was attacked by two men. And the city reports it's moving forward with plans to sue Smollett. The action comes after the city demanded a payment of $130,000 for the cost of investigating the case.
Did you hear Smollett says he's not paying?
Did he say that?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Yeah. Well, I'll believe you. That's one.
Yeah, Smollett refuses to pay Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he may be up for a big surprise. And
there's it's not just Chicago. There's the federal things where he made the said that he mailed white powder to the set. And they thought it was anthrax, and that.
No, they say he was the one that mailed it. That's the charge. Right. He isn't saying he's the one that mailed it.
Right, but that's those charges can bring more issue than the Chicago ones.
Right. So, but anyway, and also the district attorney in Chicago, they're asking her to step down over the Smollett case, that they feel that the fact that she dropped the ball was wrong, Kim.
That's they're saying that not Media Matters, but who's the guy that runs Media Matters? The billionaire, Soros. Has some connection to this prosecutor in Chicago, and that. It was his influence that caused them to drop the case against.
Well, the point is that her argument was that she would have gone ahead with that case, but she didn't like the. What is that noise? She felt that going ahead with the case was a bad idea because. Even if they found him guilty, time for the crime and so on wouldn't be worth the time they were spending on this when there were so many other things that needed to be adjudicated. I think that was her reasoning. But nobody buys that. What they buy is that privilege has its right, it's privilege.
I don't think that they should go after the guy anymore because he's a celebrity. And if she was looking at the fairness of going after him, and if they wouldn't prosecute someone else on that same kind of thing, then she made the right decision.
Yeah, but somebody who was famous, okay? Somebody who was not famous would not do what he did because he was doing it because he wanted to be more famous. Is the argument. So, you're having a rather specious argument there that,
Well, it also seems that his mother was very close to Angela Davis, and he has, this background that.
Well, it doesn't matter. If he committed a crime, he committed a crime. And, if the people of Chicago are pissed off about this, and there are a lot of blacks in Chicago, then, the other thing is that, like, for instance, you look at Felicity Huffman and what's her name? The woman. Lori Loughlin. By the way, the district attorneys there, or the attorneys, I think it's a federal case, if I'm not mistaken, have said that they really want to throw these women in jail. Now, the thing that bothers me is Lori Loughlin, hey, she paid $500,000 to get her kids into college, and the only thing that Felicity Huffman did was $15,000 worth, and I don't think...
She was a bad negotiator.
Well, no. Yeah, I mean, she had somebody take the SAT for a kid, and that was it, I think that is not to the extent that, for instance, Lori Loughlin's case is, where they were faking pictures of her on a rowing team and things like that so that she could get some kind of an athletic scholarship, or not scholarship, but entrance into the school.
Well, maybe it'll come out that the guy who was running this scam may have said to them, hey, this is fine. We do it all the time. I've done it for these people and those people.
Well, I'm sure that's exactly what he said. Yes, Rob.
Cheating is cheating. I don't understand how you're even having this discussion. You cheat on a test, you cheated.
Yeah.
I don't care if they've done it for others. Doesn't make it right.
If you Photoshop a picture,
it should be prosecuted.
If you Photoshop a picture of your kid on a rowing team and they weren't on a rowing team, you're cheating.
Of course, they're going to pay.
This world.
They probably didn't realize, I will say, they probably didn't realize the extent of their crime. Okay.
Exactly.
That it would be.
That doesn't excuse it.
That doesn't excuse it. And,
they should be prosecuted.
Exactly. So, I mean, the fact is, they may have thought, hey, that's kind of innocent. Who's going to come after us on this? Well, you're wrong. Somebody decided that there was a case here, and let's do something about it. I feel
these
a little.
People are in the media, and they're acting and making up stories all the time. That's what they do for a living. So why was this any different than
the actors don't make up the stories,
fiction.
Phil?
I mean, one is fiction and one is reality.
Well, maybe they're not separating fiction from reality.
So then they need to be put in an institution if that's the case.
Well,
that's a possibility.
Yeah, and but the institution shouldn't be that of higher learning. Okay,
right.
So whatever.
Well, how else are they going to learn?
Yeah. Well, there's the theme. With this new system I've got here, it actually goes by a lot faster and a lot easier, and it looks terrific, and it gets a lot of people watching, and I'm very happy with it, and I'm very happy with you guys for giving us such a spirited conversation. In the upper corner, going across, we got Phil Meyer, and we got Josh Wheeler, and we got oh God, my mind is just Charlie Wallace, Charlie Wallace, Jeff. Yes, and we got Tony, and we got Rob, and we got Kevin. I think I got them all. Okay, I'm sorry. We don't have the names anymore that I can go over here, and I can kind of see your names if I push on the Skype, but that's too much trouble. Hey, listen, this has been fun again. And if you all give a big wave goodbye, I'm sure people would love that, okay? Yes, there they go, folks, and I'll wave back at them, okay, from my little square. And, yeah, goodbye. Goodbye, guys. They're over there on my screen. So. Anyway, that's it for our citizen panel for tonight. Boy, they were terrific. They really were. And I'm happy they were with us as well. Listen, coming up next, we got a thing called the Intersection with Jack Bishop. And right after that, it is Nobody. And then tomorrow night at 9:30, it's the exchange with Damian Chaplin. And then I'll be back again. When is it? 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Yeah. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Good night, everybody.